All right. So I'm going to put my camera in the right spot here. I'm going to set up my rig. Then I want to show you this fold out, and then we're going to make the fold out together first, just so we all have the format, because that is the ticket to this whole piece. You're going to like this. This is a print story I'm going to share with you guys. Camera here. All right. How many of you are familiar with the artist Prince? Yeah? Okay, Nathaniel, I see your hand there. Liana, Heather, do you guys know? Evie, you know? Laura? So most of you might know he's a really wonderful musician. And this is a story by Jen Steffi, creating basically a little love poem in comic form to Prince. Now, as you can see, this is a folded piece of paper. Let's read the story together. Panel 1. I didn't realize what a big Prince fan I was until he died. I bought a 45 single of Little Red Corvette when it came out. I still have it. We have a little arrow indication. Fold it open. Then came Purple Rain, and it blew my mind. I'm pretty sure I did air guitar to Let's Go Crazy, which is one of his songs. Arrow again. Open out. Purple Rain is one of those albums that I have to listen to all the way through. Computer Blue doesn't sound right without Darling Nikki right after it. I can sing his backward lyrics phonetically. And then the last arrow's down. I pull open. On December 31st, 1999 at midnight, I was on a small dance floor in a tiny bar in the desert, fearing Y2K and the apocalypse. But like the rest of the world at the time, I was singing along with Prince to 1999. Everybody's got a bomb. We could all die any day. But before I let that happen, I'll dance my life away. So that is the complete fold-out comic. And I'm going to show you guys how we make this, okay? So what I want you to do is grab a clean, regular piece of 8.5 by 11 paper. And what you're going to do, I'm going to use my already existing format here. First thing I want you to do is hold your paper straight up and down, vertically, and you're going to fold it upward in half and crease the middle. Can I zoom out a little bit? Sure. How's that? So I folded it upward. That inside panel, and you can write this right side up, nice and light if you want, write panel 5 right inside of that. Just so we know what the right side up is, guys. Okay, because you folded it up, right? So now crease on top, right? And what we're going to do is, it isn't perfectly aligned, unacceptable. Now try to get as best you can, because the better you can crease it and make it even, the better it'll fold later, right? So our next fold is going to be in half now. So I'm going to take this piece of paper and fold it in half. Okay. Basically, what we've made making sure I get this. All right, so your panel 5 should be on your inside. right side up. And if you fold it down, creases like a book, that one is panel 4. So you can write panel 4 on the inside of that. Nice and light if you want, because you're going to have to erase it, right? Now, with that crease in half.
Sorry, real quick. I think Nathaniel has a question.
Sure. Nathaniel?
I didn't quite catch what you did.
It's okay. I'll go backtrack right now for you, okay?
Yeah, I was too busy trying to do the paper.
All good. I tend to move a little quick, so I'm happy you're stopping me. So open side is down right now, okay? And if I fold that out, that's panel 4. Now don't mind these creases on this one, guys. Yours should look like this right now. Crease down, that should be panel 4, right? Right side up, and then you're gonna fold up, and that should be your panel 5. So make sure when you fold that up, you write panel 5. That's gonna be this whole space, as you saw in our comic strip. So I'm folding my piece back down. And then we folded inward in half, and that should be panel 3. I wrote Climax here. You can decide to write that as well, because I'm going to talk about a story pyramid and how a 5-act play corresponds perfectly with this format of a folded comic strip. So write panel 3 for sure, and if you want, you can write Climax in there on that fold. Now, next fold, you should have, remember, it should be open now on the bottom and close at the top, and you're going to fold it inward down, and that's panel 2. So opened on this side's loose, you're folding it down, and that's panel 2. Everybody feeling good? Okay. Now the next one is our book, is our complete book. We have to go now that in half. So I'm just taking it, and look, I wrote cover or panel 1. Now folded side should be at your top, right? And I'm going inward again. And that's cover or panel 1. Your back is on that back. So like Jen did, you guys can put your website, your name on there, right? This could be your cover. How's everybody's fold work? Everybody's folding working? Yeah. Great, Nathaniel. Did you put all your right side up wording just so you, if you unfold it, you'll know? All right. Yeah, great. You can, yeah, of course, that works too. Just putting a little number in. 2, 3, yep. And then open it horizontally for 4. And then vertically up for 5, right? Yeah, so did you get it? Saw your hand go up there for a second. Okay, so this, guys, is the 5-act play, basically, in this comic strip. So let's talk story a little bit. Let's put these away for just a second. Unfold again, please. I did not see. Oh, sure, George. I'm going to go from the top, okay? Cover 1, or panel 1 and back. I have my fold at the top, open out. Panel 2. My fold is still at the top until I open it up. Panel 3. Now I have to open it up horizontally for panel 4. And then I'm opening it vertically for panel 5. How'd yours turn out, Grant? Did you get it there? Okay, yeah, thumbs up works. Yeah. All right, let's talk. I'm going to put this away for a moment. I'm just going to get a clean sheet of paper out. And you guys can follow along with me on this. But let's just do a little brainstorming, because our December of Joy, we're trying to basically spread the message of hope, aren't we? For this Christmas, we all have a lot of aspirations for hope this holiday. So, oh, Max says I came a bit late. Can you quickly show the panels again? Yeah, I'll go one more time, okay, for everybody. I know it's a little tricky, but fully closed. I have my crease at the top. That's my panel 1. There's my back. Open that out. Panel 2. Open that out. Panel 3. I have my creases at the bottom, folds at the top. Open that out. Panel 4. Open that up. Panel 5. Then back reverse. And it's kind of cool because once you get it, you really, it's all there. Does all its steps. Okay. Take a look at Jen's piece. This is folded out art on the full side. Look how fun that looks. So yours is going to look a lot like this by the time it's done. Same format. You're going to have to turn it around. But the real idea is that it stays folded, right? We open it out. But let's think about this 5-act play, because really what we want to think about is formatting simple panels to represent that 5-act play, because we only have five panels to play with on our fold out. So we got to make a story pyramid. So the one thing I want you guys to do is to draw a pyramid in the middle of your piece of paper here. Get a better pencil. I'm going to leave some space on both sides of my pyramid. But I just want to put one in to represent graphically our story. And what I want you to do is make a square on the top of that pyramid, a good size frame. You're going to make one on the side of that pyramid. They don't have to be the same size.
Nathaniel has something he'd like to ask.
Yeah, sure, Nathaniel. Making another panel on this side. Yeah.
Are we using like the tiny book, or are we using a different piece of paper?
We're gonna make that. We're gonna go back to that book. I'm taking a slight tangent on just storytelling, so you guys can see how we format a story for this purpose of this book.
Okay.
Okay. I want to give you some storytelling chops. Okay, because that's important as a cartoonist. We understand a little bit of story. So I have 3 panels now, right? 2 on my side. I have 1 at my very tippy top. Now I'm going to put 2 on the corners of my pyramid. And yours should look something like this. Now, the first thing we want to ask ourselves is, yeah, what are we writing? What's our purpose for our writing? And what are we trying to do with our fold-out comic book? What types of stories do we want to tell, right? We know the holidays are coming up. We know our situation with our pandemic is what it is. And really, we can tell a really impactful story in 5 frames, especially with our fold-out strip, in a simplistic way. So let's just look at these construction from some themes that we can do. And as I was talking to you guys about before, hope is kind of our overall big theme, isn't it? So let's put that at the top of our pyramid here and right inside if you have some room. What else? What other message do we want to spread this holiday season, you guys? And it can be a part of hope too. Anybody have any ideas? What about that special S word that we all like? Oh, cheer's an interesting one. It's a part of hope, sure. Cheer, to be happy. Cheers may be also a part of being grateful, right? How about safety? Isn't safety a big issue? Concern? Priority, right? Hope, safety. What else, Nathaniel? You have one for me? What kind of message do we want to spread this holiday season?
Blessing?
Ah, nice. Yes. Yeah, I think that's a part of being grateful, the blessings you said, right? Yep. Festiveness. That's interesting. I like that. All right, awesome. Now we have a nice little building block of kind of what we might want to go into in terms of our overall story theme, let's say. Now, just to get to know some of these panels, the most important one we're going to know about is this one. That's at the top of our pyramid. This is called the climax. So if you want, write climax on this. And what's the climax? The climax is where a situation in the story changes. So you can write that at the top. Situation in story changes. Now to get up this triangle from this side, I have to rise in my action. And that's what this one's called. This is the rising action. What's a rising action, guys? It's actually the complication. Right? Our first frame, and you can number these as well, guys, because we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 this way. This one here is going to be called your exposition frame. And there's a key word in there, expo. Does anybody know what expo is? Or what an expo is? To expose, right? To show. So this is going to be your start of your story. So your exposition is going to answer a few things. You can write this, answer your who, what's your who's your character, your what is it that we're seeing, where, when, and possibly a how. But most of all, it'll give us most of these W's, these who, what, where, and when, right, in our exposition. So this is going to be our opening frame, our panel 1 if we want to, on our story here. Now, you could do a combination of the cover and the first panel by putting your title, sharing the space of your title and the first graphic. You might have seen that in cartoons before. So consider that might be an option for you on your panel 1. But really, we want to answer the who, what, where, when here. Okay, so let's just start a story together, just to cover one of our grounds. And I want to show you how this really starts to work. And of course, I'm going to go over these two as well. But panel 1, if I know I have to cover some of this, then I have to ask myself, okay, where should I start my story? Let's have an idea thrown out there. Tater Tot, where should we start our story, and who should we be with? I know you're a storyteller, so I'd love for you to throw something out there and see if we can make it work.
The one time I don't have any story ideas, you decide to ask me.
It's all good. Not to put your pressure on, not at all. I'll move on, and we could keep going. Don't worry about it. I have a question in the chat. Are we all making the same story? No, we're all making different stories, but I just want to show you guys how to compose and think about how to construct a story in 5 panels. Okay? So whether or not you use anything I'm going to show you or not, these next couple of weeks that we're together, it's up to you. But I will go back to this most likely if I'm going to be working with you guys individually here and there on this exploration. But most of all, we're working to make a really good story, okay, from 5 panels. So I'm just going to come up with a situation here, or at least the start of my exposition. I'm going to have a character coming out of a doorway on a snowy night, and I'm just maybe going to get the silhouette of that character. Now they're just in the doorway, snow's coming down. I know a little bit of information, right? Now I have to accompany this with text to consider maybe more of a story, right? But we'll keep it general for now, and because we really want to start getting to tell the story. And that's this panel, because this is the complication. We got to create a problem here in order for us to get to our growth of a story and to our final ending, or what's called the denouement of the story. So I'm going to challenge this person. This is going to be a young boy. Maybe he's mid-teens, maybe he's 15, 16. The complication? Well, let's say I want to tell a story of, I want to tell a story of safety. Now, I can go into so many realms of safety. I can go into safety out in the snow, right, with this situation. Maybe it's at night and knowing night safety and using a flashlight to be able to see at night. What else could this be? This could be a safety of maybe this person has been invited to a party and they're wondering maybe they only have so much information on that party, right? And whether or not people are wearing masks, let's say. And I can make that maybe my main issue of my safety in terms of my writing. So if I go off of this masks as basically another category of the safety issue, then I can bring what the complication maybe is more with thinking more exclusively about masks. So my rising action, my complication, maybe my character is presented, let's say, do we want to present him? Let's present him as someone who doesn't feel like masks are important. So I'm going to have him walking outside. Now the complication is a difficult frame because you have to think about how to show the nature of the problem. Well, if I have my character walking foreground here and passing a house, maybe I can get another character's point of view here to present what our problem is. And maybe this person is masked in the background, looking on to our unmasked main character. And we're getting a reference of maybe a monologue off of this character, considering what the situation could be. And maybe this person knows where this person's going in some way. So in my head, I'm going to say this character knows where this person is somewhat going, or at least can estimate where they're going. So I'll say, looks like, and I'll call him James. Looks like James is going to the Rothschild's house. And maybe, you know, it's the annual party, so we're going to get to that more information, right? And I have to think now on panel 3 is my climax. The situation changes where this character is either going to turn on with a mask, he's going to put one on now, or he's going to keep it off, right? Because this is, we're setting up a little bit of a problem. We're getting a pre-notion of from this other character that, oh, they're going, looks like James is going into the Rothschild's house. Well, we don't know much about the Rothschilds yet. We can also consider that the situation is a part of what he's going to meet. So maybe he comes and everyone else is masked, right? The situation changes. And I also have to think, oh, well, how does James change in that panel then? Well, now I'm going to have James putting on a mask, right, in this panel, because the crowd at the party are all wearing masks when he gets there. Now I'm just doing loose drawings on these guys because I just want to get my information down. I want to think about what I'm doing and what kind of story I'm trying to tell. Well, you know, this mask is, it's such a central issue to this safety idea today that we can infuse this to a holiday greeting, right? Maybe that could be my purpose of my comic strip. And I want you guys to think about that, because your ending, your denouement, as it's called, is really how the character lives with this situation in the end, right? So how does this, though, attach to our beginning here? That's the real clever key with using this pyramid, because a good story will actually relate itself back to the beginning. Now, and I've said, and all we've really set up here is him coming out into the snowstorm. We don't know if he had an invitation, right, to go to the party, or if he knew really whether or not it was right to wear a mask. But obviously the crowd at the party now has informed him that they're all doing this extra precaution to stay safe, right? So now how is he going to grow with it? If he puts his mask on now, should I introduce him to someone else that gives us more information maybe about what was going on at this party? and maybe give us an idea of where our character was beforehand, right? Because I didn't get that information yet. So think this, guys. Storytelling is about clarity. So if I got to make this clear on this growth, this is where I might want to tell that next thing, right? This is our falling action, because this is going to fall into our ending. So I'm going to make James now in conversation with someone else. Now, supporting cast characters are so important because they're the ones that communicate to your main character, right? That's how we're going to get information beyond what we can see into the visualization. The characters in the stories are going to help bring out the more information. So always think that if you're ever stuck, challenge your character to the situation of meeting another character and ask yourself what needs to be communicated between the two to move us into the further story, right? So as I was saying before, we need to talk about how he was invited to the party and what had made him put on a mask, right? And who this person might be to recognize that in James, right? Maybe they saw it. So we can say this is maybe Sarah, and Sarah is going to say to James, I saw you come in without a mask, or I saw you come to the party without a mask. And maybe I get some monologue here at James. Maybe I can think what's thinking inside his head to tell me more information about her before he talks back to Sarah. And that's a great little ploy to kind of move another further information block, right? Is bringing in a character's thought process. So maybe this is his crush or something. Maybe he knows Sarah somehow. And how do we show that? Well, maybe I can go into saying, oh, it's Sarah. I better be on my best I better be on my best behavior, right? And maybe you could elaborate that more. It's Sarah, my neighbor and longtime crush. I better be on my best behavior, right? And now he's going to answer her. Oh, well, I didn't think the masks were a big deal until the party informed me that they were. Now, is he saying that because he's meeting Sarah? That's kind of what's going on in my mind, right? As the reader, and we're thinking for the reader. So James is in hot water, it says in the text. Yeah. But what's the true reason for celebrating the season of Christmas? Maybe we can inform a little bit of that here, right? We were talking about hope, cheer, grateful, safety. Safety's a part of it, right? Safety's a part of this hope that we have. So maybe I can hammer that home with Sarah and James here. And I want to think about how I'm ending my story. I want to think about my last frame, because when I fold out this comic strip, I really want to make it the most impactful, right? I have all this space to work with. Well, I think a nice shot, I'm going to do a nice walk away, or maybe they're now a little bit more closer. And they're in the party, but they're kind of on their own. They're walking together. And we're inside, so give that perspective a little bit. But now my thought is here, how am I going to leave this for my reader? What do I want to send home at the end here after this little lesson? Well, I definitely want to talk about this hope and safety. So maybe I can hammer it home with Sarah, the supporting character to James. Maybe she says the season this year is about celebrating hope and emphasized, so I can make that bold, and safety. And safety, James. And there we go. Now, when I look back to my first panel, though, I can bring more information now, knowing where I'm going with this, right? I can bring now in a monologue to James that fits more into the doubt of this, maybe, right? And that's why this pyramid's here, guys. That's why this has to come around. So now I can infuse a little bit of doubt. And maybe this isn't who is own talking to himself or his monologue, right? He's thinking. And what is he thinking? I don't think this year is filled with any hope or any safety, but I'll still go to this party, right? Now, we have a journey of a person's growth, right? Told into the people that we brought into it, whether they played a large part or not, right? These didn't really play a large part other than visually showing us that everyone is on this extra precaution. But who spots James beforehand? His crush, or you can make that any kind of character, right? It doesn't have to be someone who has a crush or anything like that. It could be a friend. But that supporting cast is going to lead to giving us more information, right? Because other than that, we wouldn't have known all this. Bringing us down to the story, it's Sarah that hammers home to James that this is what this season's about. When we know from our beginning, when we first met the character, James wasn't about that. He didn't think it existed. He was having heavy doubts. All right, guys, so I encourage you to set up your pyramid and work your story in this manner and start trying to visualize how the ending of your story gets back to the beginning. Your story doesn't have to deal with COVID at all. I just went off of this out of working into our theme here, okay? You guys can do any types of stories with this. I just wanted you guys to see how these beats work and how I'm simplifying, how I'm thinking about what I'm representing and what characters are bringing information to the table. So remember, story is about clarity. Nathaniel, if my story isn't clear, is my reader going to keep reading it?
I think it's gonna be a positive.
They're not going to keep reading it if it's not clear, right? They would stop reading because they don't understand. So when you give that information of the growth of a character, that's the information of seeing a story. It's a character growth. It's an evolution. So whatever character you bring into your story here on your fold-out comic strip, that growth, along with the way that this folds out, is going to be so impactful and have such a strong impression because your reader not only took the time to read what you wrote and take the time to look at your graphics, but they keep folding this out into the experience. Do I have any questions from you guys? I hope this is a little helpful. What'd you guys think? And get some feedback from you. Tater Tot, what'd you think? Did you get anything out of this?
Yeah, actually, thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Good. What do you think, Evie? Did you get anything out of this? Yeah? This is a great way, guys, because it's visualizing the story for us. We're all visual artists. So to make this pyramid and to work from a visual format, right, it is much easier for us to craft a story from. Now, can I elaborate more on this story? Yeah, I could put panels in between 2 and 3, in between 3 and 4, and 4 and 5, right, to fill it out. But if we're going to work simple on our 5-panel fold out, we got to work from a 5-panel stage play. And this is exactly how they write for theater, is 5 play act. So if you can narrow down your information in 5 play act, then you can get a really strong story. Laura, did you get anything out of this? Yeah, good. Yeah, I'll let you guys work on your own story now. George, I hope you got something out of this. Okay, good. So think about that theme, guys. That theme has to run into the heart of your character, right? You know, and a lot of times it's us talking to ourselves or us thinking to ourselves that we get the most kind of heartfelt information from a character. Spider-Man stories did that way back. And they were one of the first to really go into the heart of a young teenager and their lives. But what was it filled with? It was filled with monologue and dialogue to himself. So if you feel like you're struggling with how to communicate a character, that could be your ticket there, thinking about the monologue. I'd love to hear what theme some of you are playing with when you get a chance. Read Wings of Fire. Oh. Yep, I can fold out the Prince story. I'll read it again. I didn't realize what a big Prince fan I was until he died. I bought a 45 single of a Little Red Corvette when it came out. I still have it. Now, if we look at this as panel 2, the complication, really the complication here and what hits us the most is to read this, and whether we know it or not, is to know that he has passed away, right? In a sense, that's a complication, right? Because when someone passes away, sometimes we think, will they be forgotten, right? That's kind of a lot of us our minds go to, right? The legacy of a person. So that's what's really heartfelt here and hits in the idea of a complication on this panel. I open it up. Then came Purple Rain, right? Look, the situation and the story changes. Then came Purple Rain, and it blew my mind. See, we're having the impression now. I'm pretty sure I did air guitar to Let's Go Crazy. That says so much, right? Open it up. Purple Rain is one of those albums that I have to listen to all the way through. Computer Blue doesn't sound right without Darling Nikki right after it. I can sing his backward lyrics phonetically. Open out. On December 31st, 1999 at midnight, I was on a small dance floor in a tiny bar in the desert, fearing Y2K and the apocalypse. But like the rest of the world at the time, I was singing along with Prince to 1999. Everybody's got a bomb. We could all die any day. But before I let that happen, I'll dance my life away. Such a cool, powerful piece. She did this in a beautiful watercolor tone. Y2K was the year 2000. It was kind of it was basically, it was an overwhelming kind of anxiety that some people had out of the idea that computers were going to cease to operate because they weren't updated for the 21st century. So that a lot of people think that basically technology was going to stop. So there was a fear of the Y2K out of that whole idea, the year 2000, the Y2K, and that it would halt all of humanity. So yeah, but Prince made that song in the 1980s. So he was thinking well ahead of us in terms of his song. And it became such an anthem all the way up until, and still is. Hey, Kat, was this helpful for you? And Des, was this helpful for you? I'd love to know.
Yes, thank you.
Wonderful. And so when thinking into the construction of this, guys, think about the real estate you're going to get on panel 5. You're going to have a lot of room on this last panel. So make sure it's something that you're thinking about in the utilization of all this space, right? What is it that could be so impactful about now seeing this much space? Well, just like in comics, the bigger the panel, the longer it takes for someone to experience it, right? So consider that. And that maybe a few dialogue balloons might be in part of this this last frame, right? It might not have to be something so let's say calm and kind of collected in its way. That I ended my story with seeing our characters walk off into what is a little bit of horizon here. You can think more impactful into getting a lot of information maybe at the end here, right? Your story could hold out on maybe more information and get it in our last frame. But consider the real estate, because you definitely, as the story grows, we have more and more to work with.
Nathaniel's hand is up.
Yeah, Nathaniel, how are you? What's going on?
So I think the art style I'm going to use for my book is probably just going to be using just the same colors in different formats. These are the colors that I had.
Wonderful. That's great. Yeah. And maybe an idea would be to have that color represent the transition to the next panel.
Yeah, can I show the first picture that I made for my actual book?
Yeah, sure. Let's see it. This is panel 2, or what would be panel 1 for you?
Probably panel 1 because it says panel 2 right there.
Great. And where are we at here? Are we outside of...
It's outside of Barb. Try really guessing what that name is supposed to be.
And who are we with there? Is that Wiley?
No, that's my own character.
I like him.
And there's actually a hidden, there's a hidden word in there.
Ooh, in the shadow?
Yeah.
What? And I can't. I don't think my camera's allowing me to see it enough. What does that say?
I can't tell you. It's a secret until I'm done.
Okay, let the story tell, right? And hopefully maybe that word, Nathaniel, I'm sure you're thinking, is somehow going to connect to your ending. I would hope. Okay, good. Yeah. This is such a fun format, guys. I mean, these can be little Easter eggs that you leave, in different places, maybe in your neighborhood. Maybe you can put one on a park bench, and it's not littering because it's art, and someone will find it, and they're gonna go, "Oh, a story! Wow! Oh my God! Oh my!" And they're just gonna unravel it and just love the experience. Think about that. It could be cool. I heard from some of my students that there's these, they call them cache pods. They're in Los Angeles right now, where people are basically hiding items to be found throughout Los Angeles. And there's a map in which you can go and find these pods of collectibles and things in different pods. So if you guys haven't done that yet, you might want to look into it. If this sounds interesting. Okay, cache pod. Is that what they're? I think it's cache. Like, let me make sure. It's so it's data cache. So that could be a cool place where we put our foldable comic. We can put these can fit really well in a cache pod. And maybe someone else will really enjoy it like that. But I also think these are just a cool thing to have in the back of your pocket. Give someone a story. This could be your business card, which could be really neat, right? You can have exactly how Jen did it. You can have your website, phone number on the back. The foldable comic. So next week, what I'll probably get into with you guys is to start penciling and how to consider going about making this comic as basically as fluid and evenly as possible. Because what Jen did here, she clearly built up all of her application of everything she used. She penciled probably all of this firsthand, right? And then went in once with a wash, probably for her backgrounds, and then probably went in and did her foreground elements as a painter would. But I'm going to talk to you guys about just using several different objects like a marker and a colored pencil just to simplify it, and what kind of range of fluid application that you can do to give a nice transition for your story with simple tools, like I said. And I think that'll be a really cool way for us to begin approaching how to finish our fold-out comic. So we'll keep advancing every week we get together. And I'll, of course, go over some templates and things that I think you guys might find useful for making dialogue balloons and varying degrees of hooks off of your bubbles, using French curves and various tools. But so next week, though, is the penciling part, and some of those tools will definitely come into play when preparing this. And whether or not I work off this story next week, I probably will. I may make another story, but I'll, of course, share it with you guys. But yeah, I will keep revisiting the construction and us building this to a finished fold-out, like Jen's here. The beauty of this is the reproduction, guys, because once you make it once, we photocopy it, or you can digitize it in your scanner, and then you can print that as much as you want. But upon printout, you'll just need to get your folding hand ready and fold them up. So this is just a great way to make a comic. It's just super fun. Glad you guys are here with me on this. Are some of you finding that you're using arrows on your story yet? I think I'm going to go in on my first panel while we're together. As I was saying, so if your story title needs to occupy some of the real estate on your panel 1 and share the information that you want to give on your panel 1, think about that. A good ratio is 1:4, right? So if I leave my fourth of my page up here for my logo, then I can consider, okay, the rest of my frame is going to exist on this portion. And I'm just going to go in it. Now, if it's easier for you to not draw on the fold, you can unfold it out. Right? Draw flat, which is nicer. But I got to come up with a title for mine, because I don't have a title. But I know I got James. I know it's James. It's a good name. And maybe I'll call it James's Mask for now. And I'm gonna accompany some of my penciling maybe with some Christmas motifs, because I'm trying to make this a seasonal kind of story. And I hope some of you are too, because that's kind of the spirit, right? So if I think about motifs for Christmas, mistletoe is definitely one that I kind of like incorporating out of a simplistic kind of motif.
Do you mean from Spookly and the Christmas Kitten?
Oh, I'm not familiar with it, but it sounds great. Is that
Mistletoe.
something?
Mistletoe is from that cartoon.
Ah, cool. Yeah, mistletoe is famously synonymous with Christmas, isn't it? Anybody know the idea behind it? Well, the idea is that you hang mistletoe above a doorway, and if you meet someone else underneath it, you're supposed to offer them a kiss.
Really is. It's got to be a girl.
It's just a little Christmas lore. It's, you don't have to go by it, but it does exist. So I'm doing a little Christmas motif. James's Mask, I'm calling this story, I think. And I'm drawing kind of light enough because I'm thinking about my inking later, right? And that if I go over this with ink later, I can erase my pencils afterwards. I also know I have a little bit of monologue that I added from before. And I got to incorporate that into my panel here. Now, panels never cover a head, and they really shouldn't cover a majority of a body. Those are kind of rule, those are points of rule in terms of placing your bubbles. Now, we know that we read comics left to right and top to bottom. So considering I only have one panel here, I might want to think to either my top corner here or maybe my bottom, right? And I'm not going to consider I'm going to cover too much unless I have to. I might have to a little bit on this one, especially because I do have a bit of dialogue. So I'm just going to go over lightly and plan out my oval into the best shape I can for now. I have to go back in with an eraser. Again, a pencil is our friend because it's so forgiving. Always start your drawings with pencils. It's great. It's the most forgiving tool. If you want, make your little hook. The rule with fins is that you don't want your fin to lie on a tangent. Now, what's a tangent? When you have an existing line and ending your line on top of that existing line or touching that existing line. So that is a tangent. So you don't want that with your fin, especially. You want your fin to go over a line. Oh, I'm sorry, Liliana. Hope you can find a plug for your computer. Now, do we need a fin to go up directly towards a face? No, not unless they're the only. If they're the only character there, you can consider just giving a nice light direction to your character. I don't have to really make it come all the way up to the head. I just need to know a little indication that they're the ones talking here, right? I think most of us are in California. I know a lot of you may have not even experienced snow like this, but back on the East Coast, walking out your door and looking at snow falling is kind of common for the winter season. And there's something somber about it because you just come out and there's just no sound but snowfall. And there's something to that in terms of the psychology of seeing snowfall. There's something beautifully somber about it. And yet the snow builds and it builds and it builds. And it just occupies space, right? So think about if you're using snowfall, maybe you want your snow to cover some of your elements. And this is the part of a visual storyteller you have to think about. You want to get into the idea of the psychology of the story, you know. Maybe my character is feeling a little snowed in this holiday season, like a lot of us have been feeling. So maybe I want to show that physically with some real built up snow. So I guess to be a strong storyteller, you do need to know a little bit about psychology, but I think it's also just psychology is kind of really the psyche of a human, and we're all human. We all have emotions, and all that kind of fits into this idea. So, but you'll get better and better at how to think about different visual narrative as you get older and keep working with storytelling. But yeah, that's kind of how I'm going about thinking about this frame here. What's cool about a silhouette and doing a silhouette character is what can you draw floating off of the character that kind of gives more information. You know, what are they carrying? What changes the shape of the character out of what they're carrying, right? Other than their body self and what they might be, you know, wearing. So if there's a funny hat, we might see it more apparently in the silhouette. You know, think about characterization in a simplified form is the silhouette, right? That's just like our old Mickey Mouse. Those three, once we see those three circles together, we know it's him, right? Turn this. Okay, great. So I have my cover image going. I got my title at the top. If I want, I can put by Mike Jasorka at the bottom if I wanted to. You know, I can really, or I'm going to utilize the back for my information on my page, right? Like just like Jen did on hers. So that's up to you. But lightly put that in. Got most of my information. And I'm going to get back to my dialogue balloon with you guys next week. I go into my second panel. Oh, this is great because I kind of planned for a more rectangular shape. So now I can go by that reference. And I'm thinking about what real estate I need for my character's monologue, the neighbor. My visualization of the cold weather is seeing the heat coming out of my character's breathing mouth, right? It's a great way to show cold weather, right? Just bringing a little bit of breath air out there. Of course, dressing the character in winter gear is gonna sell it as well. Again, it's about clarity, right, guys? If my character doesn't look like they're dressed for the winter, it's not gonna look like it's very cold. So maybe it's the amount that the character is wearing too that's selling us on how cold it is. Giving a lot of depth for character using foreground, midground, background, right, idea. So I wanted to give a little bit of depth here that maybe James isn't seeing his neighbor. They're in the deep background. The scale of my neighbor is much smaller, therefore. And maybe they're a little bit hidden. Maybe they got a little snow shovel taking care of the sidewalk that leads up to the front door at their house. Still snowing. I'm going to put that information in. Maybe I peek in a little bit of the other neighbor's house here. So yeah, I gotta make a little bit of room here for my bubble. And I tend to draw my dialogue balloons a little more egg-shaped than circular. I like the oval shape as compared to a circle. I'll hook my fin in. Again, I know that from prior in my story, I have a lot of buildup of snow on James's front lawn. So I can still keep playing with that element here, right? It's the same snowstorm, but our neighbor has cleared a bit of a path for their house. But otherwise, there's a lot of snow going on. To help sell it, maybe I need to put maybe a little bicycle wheel sticking out of the snow. Right? What could be submerged to show the information? Some more things we think about as visual artists, right? And now I know I fold out open again for my next panel. As you guys might have seen, I use a lot of foundational shapes to build up my characters, my gestures, just the way that everything is working. I'm building it up. To get in that habit is basically making that exoskeletons of everything you're working on, rather than starting up in the corner and just doing the eye and going to a nose. I'm looking at it like, nope, I want the shape of it all before I get into the individualness of the anatomy and what the character's wearing, right? I have to give a formal approach to those objects firsthand before I go in and put everything else on top. So it's a build-up. I'll get you guys more and more of a habit of this while you work it with me. I promise you, you'll have strong results over a period of time if you keep building up your shapes. All right, keep working on what is inside the body and the form to give it that perspective, right? Evie, you leaving us? Okay, guys, we're almost at the end of our workshop here. Do I have any questions so far? Everybody enjoying this? Yeah? Oh, good. I promise you, it's gonna be a cool comic you're gonna have. You're gonna have this format forever, which is so cool. You're gonna be able to use this down the line. You can give it as a wedding gift. It's gonna be so cool. You can do so many things with it and print it out so many times. But wedding, yeah, well, you know, any kind of good special event. Doesn't have to be a wedding. But yeah, we'll keep working on this construction. I will help you guys on your story crafting if you want. We can meet in breakout rooms next week if you want. But ideally, we'll go into more penciling, and I'll keep talking about how I'm approaching drawing different elements and perspectives too. I know some of you have taken the perspective classes with me with Chuck Jones Center, so I definitely want to go back in a little bit of that talk because to be a great animator or cartoonist, you got to know perspective and you got to use shapes. So I will bring you through all of that thought and approach as well. And remember, story is about clarity, right? If it isn't clear, you're going to lose your reader. They're not going to stay along for the ride. But if you give them the right information as we go along and how it ties back to how we started, you're going to have a strong story. Any questions? No? We're all doing good? Are we excited to keep going next week? Everybody's busy. Yes. Can we just make the class 2 hours long? Well, I can definitely talk to the Chuck Jones Center about that. I know as we would definitely get more work done. So let me run that by them, Evie. If you guys are cool with it, I'm cool with it. I'm actually used to it because the other classes I teach are 2 hours. But we'll figure it out. We'll talk, and we'll talk. I'll have to talk to Scott a little bit about it too. So. James's mask. Pretty cool little tale. It's gonna be fun. Do you have a story title going, Tater Tot?
Yeah, I've named it Times Square.
Times with the 2 in the corner like that, or Times Square, New York?
Times Square, New York.
Ooh, great. Have you ever been?
Yeah, actually.
Oh, cool. First-hand experience. Do you have some photographs that you can use?
No.
It's all right. There's plenty on Google Images you can find if you really need it. Some key terms you might want to put in there are street level, right? You see an outsort and get on the street level of the Times Square, right? That's a good kind of search term to use if you need reference for getting there on the street, because otherwise a lot of the reference you see would probably be up high above a walking crowd. Key terms is great with searching and finding your references, guys. Soilel, do you have a title for your story?
It centers around friendship and apples, so I might do like apple pie or something.
Oh, great. That's perfect. Awesome. All right. Cool. Grant, do you have a story going? A title?
I called the Spider Fish Christmas
Is it Spidey's first Christmas?
Yep.
Awesome.
Well, I made my own.
Oh, great. Are you almost there? You're almost done?
No.
Oh, okay. It's looking good. You're going into color and everything already. I love it. Great work, Grant. How about Laura? You have a title going, Laura? Or Evie?
Not yet.
Okay. Not yet? Evie, do you have a title going? I don't have a title yet. Not a problem. All right. Sometimes it might be the last thing you come up with, right? Like I did for mine. Yep, you'll find it there, Evie, I'm sure. Do you have a title yet, George? Baby Yoda is playing a game. Oh. Didn't they name Baby Yoda? I just hear. Do you guys hear that?
Yes, but the class doesn't want spoilers, so
Okay, I won't go there. I heard it through the grapevine myself, so.
so just to save everyone from that.
Of course, of course.
We were getting kind of close in Ben's class the other day.
Oh, of guessing?
No, of just possibly saying some spoilers, so we had to be careful.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Don't worry, guys. I won't spoil. I respect story too much, as you can tell. All right. Should we wrap up? Everybody feeling good?
You never even asked what my name for my book was.
Oh, well, who's talking there? Nathaniel?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to know your story title, please.
The book, the Christmas book that you have in the barb.
Christmas book that you have in the barb, you said.
The barb. The barb. The book you have in the barb.
Clever. All right, guys. It was great to see you all and work this out real quick. Oswald, do you have a question real quick?
Really fast. So with the little booklets,
Mm-hmm. Your fold out?
if there is like extra space in the booklet, is there a way you could substitute it for like a different color or chat?
You meaning in this booklet, the fold out?
Yeah, little ones. If there's like extra space, what would you usually substitute that empty space for?
Show me where you're seeing where might be extra space. I'm just curious because every space should be utilized for that panel.
So usually, where is it? In like you can't really see it, but in this area right here,
Yeah.
I was gonna put chat, and then I was worrying if the words would be too small or too big. So to space it out, I'd probably use like background color, or would there be something else I could use?
Yeah, I think you can absolutely fill it with a nice legible balloon if there's dialogue or monologue there, and then consider what you might see in that far horizon in the background. Could be buildings or trees, just to something to simplify maybe that atmosphere.
Okay.
If there's something of significance there, weather or a location that you want to have in mind.
Like preferable colors I'd use that would be like subtle on the eyes.
I'm going to go into talking about color. I'm probably going to wait until third week to do that. We're going to talk about color temperature and what to put in our foreground objects as opposed to our background objects, and how to look at color temperature, because there is a usage of that to simplify for comics, and I think you'll enjoy it and get something from that. So definitely think about what colors you want to use for now, though. Don't put that away, but I'll get into more talk about how to consider color elements.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. So good to see you all and see so many familiar faces, and I can't wait to get to know more of you more and see you next week. It'll be great.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Scott. Great to see
Bye.
you.
Thank you. Have a
Bye,
nice night.
Laura. Bye, Evie.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Nathaniel. See you, Tater Tot. See you, George.